He walked into the shop, and everything smelled like old wood, leather and stories. Nothing had changed since his childhood. Not the creaking floorboards, not the man behind the counter, not even the way time seemed to slow down. In this video, we're stepping inside 14 of the oldest shops in London. Places that have seen kings crowned, wars fought, and generations return for one last look. Some of these doors have been open since before the United States existed. Others survived the Blitz, the internet, and everything in between. If you've ever wandered into a store and felt something stir, like your grandparents were suddenly in the room with you, this list will feel like coming home. Walk through the grand doors of Hamleys, and you're not just entering a toy store, you're walking into a memory. Founded in 1760, Hamleys is the oldest toy shop in the world and one of London's most iconic landmarks. What began as a small shop in Holborn has grown into a 7-floor paradise on Regent Street, filled with laughter, lights, and the kind of wonder most of us thought we had lost. But Hamleys isn't just about toys. It's about the feeling you get when you hear a child's laugh echo across polished floors, when you see your favourite childhood game still sitting on a shelf. Soldiers once passed through these doors before going to war. Royal families have shopped here for generations. When you step inside, the chaos of the outside world fades, and you're reminded of something simple. The magic of play never truly leaves us. Have you ever tasted something and just for a second felt like you were somewhere else entirely? PaxtonWhitfield, established in 1797, has been delivering that kind of experience for over 2 centuries. Nestled in Jermyn Street, this isn't just a cheesemonger, it's a slice of Britain's culinary soul. Winston Churchill once said, "A gentleman only buys his cheese at Paxton&Whitfield," and it's easy to see why. The air inside is thick with tradition, and the cheeses themselves tell stories, and of rural farms, aging cellars, and centuries-old techniques still honoured today. This is a place where every wheel, every crumble, every smell carries history. Customers don't just come here for taste, they come to reconnect with a time when food was crafted, not manufactured, with flavours that sparked conversations around wartime dinner tables and royal banquets alike. You don't just buy cheese here, you inherit it. What if I told you the tuxedo was born on a quiet street in London, stitched by hand for a dinner none of us were invited to? That street is Savile Row, and the tailor is Henry Poole and Company, founded in 1806. This isn't just a suit shop. It's the birthplace of formal wear as we know it. When the Prince of Wales asked for something less stiff than traditional evening attire, Henry Poole crafted a new silhouette. That single request gave the world the dinner jacket, later known as the tuxedo. But behind the sleek fabrics and gold-lettered windows lies something more enduring than style. This is where cloth becomes legacy, and every fitting feels like stepping into history. From aristocrats to film icons, their client books read like a who's who of power and elegance. Inside a narrow storefront on the Strand, just across from the Royal Courts of Justice, Twinings Company has been pouring tea for Londoners since 1706. It is the oldest tea shop in continuous operation, still welcoming customers from the same address more than 300 years later. The moment you step inside, the world slows. The scent of bergamot, herbs, and history fills the air. Behind the counter, wooden drawers hold rare blends once shipped across oceans, carried by merchant vessels through empire and storm. This is where tea became more than a drink. It became a ritual, a moment of pause in the British day. Twinings supplied tea to Queen Victoria and remains a holder of royal warrants to this day. Yet the true magic lies not in its prestige, but in its familiarity. Here, a warm cup still connects strangers, generations, and entire nations across centuries. There's a calm that lives inside Hatchards, a stillness that only exists in places filled with stories. Founded in 1797, this is London's oldest bookshop, and it still stands proudly on Piccadilly, just a short walk from the palace gates. Its shelves are lined with the works of thinkers, rebels, poets and queens. Over the centuries, Hatchards has welcomed everyone from Oscar Wilde to Queen Elizabeth II. It holds not only books, but signatures, dedications and margins filled with forgotten notes. Every creaking floorboard is a chapter, every quiet corner a safe place to disappear. Hatchards has weathered revolutions in both politics and publishing. It survived world wars and digital shifts. But what's most remarkable is how it hasn't changed. It remains a space where time bends around the turning of a page, and where stepping inside feels like returning to a version of yourself you almost forgot. Tucked away on St. James's Street, Lock & Company Hatters has been shaping heads and history since 1676. This is the oldest hat shop in the world, and its legacy is stitched into every brim and band that leaves the building. Admiral Lord Nelson wore one of their hats into battle. Sir Winston Churchill favoured their Homburgs. Even Oscar Wilde, with all his flair, trusted Lock & Company to crown his style. These aren't just accessories. They are symbols of status, defiance and identity. Inside, the walls are lined with hat blocks, carved for clients long gone. The original order books are still kept, pages worn with names that defined entire eras. Yet, for all its prestige, the experience remains deeply personal. A quiet fitting room, a tape measure, a whispered approval in the mirror. To wear a Lock & Company hat is not just to wear history, it's to carry it forward. In a world where trends change by the minute, E-Day and Ravenscroft has been dressing tradition since 1689. Their garments have graced coronations, academic halls and courtrooms for over 3 centuries, making them the oldest tailor in the United Kingdom. Step inside and you'll find robes tailored not just for fit, but for ceremony. Judges, bishops, professors, all rely on the meticulous craftsmanship preserved here. The fabrics are rich, the lines are deliberate, and the legacy is unmistakable. What does it mean to wear something designed for a ritual, not a runway? At ED and Ravenscroft, clothing becomes a symbol, a statement of place and purpose. Each piece is a continuation of tradition, built with care and reverence. From the stitching to the crest, everything carries weight. And that weight reminds the wearer, whether king or scholar, that some roles are timeless and some garments are not just worn but inherited. Behind an unassuming facade at 3 St. James's Street, Berry Brothers and Rudd has been trading in wine and spirits since 1698. Walk through its doors and you're not just entering a shop, you're entering the cellars of Britain's liquid history. Dusty bottles line the walls, each one a quiet witness to centuries of toasts, treaties and tragedies. The shop once weighed customers on an old scale to track their health, Lord Byron among them. Their ledgers contain names like Churchill and the royal family. What kind of trust does it take to serve wine to kings for over 300 years? Berry Brothers earned it not through spectacle, but through quiet consistency. Beneath the store lie vaulted cellars that have survived fire, war, and time. They hold vintages older than some nations. In this space, every bottle is more than a drink. It's a record of moments worth remembering. There's a distinct quiet elegance the moment you step into Floris, Britain's oldest perfumery, founded in 1730. Located on Jermyn Street, this family-run shop has been creating fragrances for nearly 3 centuries, each one capturing the spirit of its time in a delicate glass bottle. The mahogany cabinets, the brass scales, even the faint scent in the air, everything here tells a story. Their perfumes were worn by Queen Elizabeth II, Florence Nightingale and Princess Diana. Inside these walls, formulas are passed down like heirlooms, crafted not just to impress, but to evoke. Each scent is a memory waiting to be awakened. A single spray can bring back the feeling of a summer long gone, or a person no longer near. That's the power of this place. It doesn't just sell fragrance, it preserves emotion. If scent could take you back to one moment in your life, where would it take you? Founded in 1750, Swain Adini Brig is where craftsmanship meets quiet prestige. Known for their fine leather goods, umbrellas and briefcases, this establishment has supplied royalty, adventurers and even secret agents for generations. One of their most famous creations, the briefcase carried by James Bond in the early films. Every item here is made to last, not just in form, but in sentiment. The leather is cut and stitched by hand, the umbrellas are reinforced to withstand British storms, and each piece is designed to be used, aged, and eventually passed down. This is not fashion, this is heritage. Their workshops have produced carriage whips for Queen Victoria and sword belts for officers in the Napoleonic Wars. Yet the heart of Swain Adini Brig has remained unchanged. Make something so well it becomes part of someone's life story. Tucked away in St. James's, James J. Fox has been selling cigars since 1787, making it the oldest cigar merchant in the world, still in operation. The walls are lined with humidors, portraits, and handwritten ledgers that chronicle a clientele unlike any other, including Sir Winston Churchill himself. He would sit in the back room, cigar in hand, reading the newspaper in silence. That very room still exists, preserved like a sacred space. The atmosphere is quiet, contemplative, almost reverent. What kind of place earns the trust of someone who carried the weight of a world war? The answer is in the details. Hand-selected leaves, personal relationships, and rituals that never rush. Today, customers can browse the very cigars Churchill smoked, stored in drawers that haven't changed since Victorian times. Here, the act of lighting a cigar isn't indulgence. It's memory, legacy, and ceremony rolled into one. Step into D.R. Harris & Company, and you're stepping back into a time when apothecaries were sanctuaries. Founded in 1790, this pharmacy and grooming house has served Londoners for over 2 centuries with a quiet commitment to tradition and care. Located on St. James's Street, the interior feels untouched by modern noise. Mahogany counters, glass jars, the scent of lavender and sandalwood hanging gently in the air. This is where medicine, grooming and ritual once met. Long before the age of self-care influencers, gentlemen came here for shaving soaps, colognes and tonics prepared with purpose and patience. D.R. Harris holds a royal warrant and still handcrafts many of its products using original formulas. Patrons don't just shop here, they return year after year, generation after generation, drawn to something deeper than brand loyalty. Have you ever seen an umbrella so finely made it looked like it belonged in a museum? At James Smith & Sons, founded in 1830, umbrellas are not just tools, they are treasures. This shop, located on New Oxford Street, has barely changed since Victorian times, and that's exactly the point. The wooden counters, handwritten signs and rows of finely crafted umbrellas give the space a sense of timelessness. Each piece is built to last decades, not seasons, made with hardwoods, metal tips, and canopies sewn with precision. For over 190 years, the shop has supplied city dwellers, aristocrats, and even film productions with what might be the world's finest umbrellas. But beyond the craft, there's a deeper value here: resistance. In a world of cheap, disposable objects, James Smith & Sons stands firmly for durability, elegance, and care. This isn't just where you buy an umbrella, it's where you buy one for life. In the heart of Piccadilly, Fortnum Mason has stood as a symbol of luxury and ritual since 1707. What began as a humble grocery shop is now a palace of indulgence, known for its exquisite hampers, fine teas, and unwavering dedication to British tradition. The store has supplied goods to monarchs and explorers alike. During the Napoleonic Wars, they packed provisions for officers. In peacetime, they delivered Scotch eggs and tea to drawing rooms across the empire. Every floor tells a different story. Spices from distant ports, chocolates wrapped like heirlooms, preserves in glass jars that shimmer like stained glass. Walking through Fortnum's is like wandering through a museum where everything is still in use. You don't come here just to shop. You come to participate in a ritual. From the doormen in tailcoats to the tea room's quiet elegance, every detail is designed to remind you that beauty, when preserved, becomes something sacred. Somewhere between the scent of old wood, the quiet rustle of parchment, and the slow pour of afternoon tea, London's oldest shops remind us that time doesn't always rush. It sometimes waits. These aren't just businesses, they're living memories. They carry the weight of moments that shaped families, cities, even nations. And for a brief moment, when we step inside, we get to borrow that history. Feel it in our hands, hear it in the floorboards, and carry it with us long after we've left. Which of these places would you visit first? And what's the oldest store you've ever been to that made you feel something? Tell us in the comments, we read everyone. If this video stirred something in you, leave a like and drop a comment. It helps the YouTube algorithm share this story with more people who, like you, feel the pull of places that never truly fade. Because sometimes the past isn't behind us. It's just waiting inside a shop you've yet to enter.